Hi again, everyone. Welcome back to our series, STEM Society Voices Preview the ACCESSE24 Leadership Conference. Thank you to everyone who was able to join us last week with our conversation with Matt and Joanna, where we talked a little bit about the conference, specifically about our first central theme of the conference being leadership. Once again, my name is Angel Martinez. I'm the marketing manager here at CESSE, and I'm again super excited for today's conversation where we'll continue to talk about the program. We're going to talk a little bit about our second central theme for this year's conference, and really also just have a chance to answer any and all the questions that you all may have about the program, logistics, really anything. We just want this to be a space where you can learn a little bit more about the conference and the kind of value that it can provide to you and your team. Before getting a little bit into the conference and before I introduce today's guests, wanting to give a little bit of a background on what CESSE is for those who might not be familiar, or if this is your first time learning about CESSE, please welcome. We're so happy to have you here. A little bit about CESSE, the Council of Engineering and Scientific Executives, which incorporated in 1977, is the professional home of hundreds of STEM society and association professional staff members, including executives and C-suite leaders who value the trusted network and experience of their peers. CESSE offers its members a platform for exchanging information about their experiences and a venue for addressing the issues, challenges, and opportunities they face in operating their organizations. That's a little bit about CESSE. That's a little bit about me. And before we get into talking about ACCESSE, I'd love to open the floor to today's guest, Dana Compton. Welcome, Dana. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Awesome. No, thank you for being here. For talking a little bit more about your involvement with CESSE or this year's July conference, could you share a little bit about yourself, your work? How are you kind of involved in the STEM society landscape?
Sure. Happy to. So I am in the scholarly publishing space. I am managing director and the publisher at the American Society of Civil Engineers. So we have a journals and books publishing program, as well as a standards development office that I head up. I've been in the society publishing space for about 25 years. In a variety of different organizations, and am very happy to be at ASCE. I've been here about almost 6 years now. So
awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Do you mind me asking, like, how did you get involved with CESSE, or how long have you been involved with the association? How's that experience been with?
Sure. Yeah. So ASCE as an organization is actually how I became to be familiar with CESSE. We have I guess it's an organizational membership that we maintain and have individuals assigned to throughout the organization. And we've had, a lot of folks at ASCE be involved with CESSE in various capacities. I actually started participating more actively with CESSE during the pandemic, when ACCESSE was virtual, and I had the opportunity to attend a few sessions, and got involved in the publication special interest group. And then from there, I'm now participating in the program committee, which is super exciting.
Really cool. Really cool. As I mentioned, we'll be talking about ACCESSE, and you've been involved with ACCESSE with CESSE for quite some time. And I guess here I'll give a little bit of a blurb on what the conference is, about what this July conference is, and you kind of alluded to some of those pieces already. So some of this might be repetitive, but just for those who may not be aware what ACCESSE is, it's a conference that combines leadership development, peer-to-peer connections, and content expertise in managing STEM societies as a trusted space for professionals in these organizations our event provides fresh perspectives and innovative ideas to help develop their leadership and management skills so they can go on to achieve their respective organizations' objectives and I think ultimately their missions for impact. And Dana, you mentioned that you got involved with ACCESSE during the times of the pandemic. And looking forward, like, what are some of the things that you're really excited about for this year's conference? I know you mentioned you have pretty heavy involvement, but what are you looking forward to this July?
I'm actually really excited to attend for the first time in person and meet some of the people who I've only known virtually with CESSE in real life. That's very exciting to me. There are some publications SIG people that I feel like I know, and it'll be nice to hopefully see them there in Toronto. And I'm just generally super excited about the programming. I think, you know, the areas that are being focused on, from leadership to DEI, sustainability, AI, like they're all the things that are top of mind for us every day. So I think there's going to be some great learnings to come away with.
Cool. Is this going to be your, I don't know if you mentioned, is this going to be your first time in Toronto or?
Yeah. The city, the conference, it's all new. I've never been before. So.
Same here. I'm really looking forward to it. And as someone who's been with CESSE since October of last year, still new to all this, and just everyone that I've met so far in this community has been so warm, so welcoming, and so supportive. And it's just motivates me more to be able to support the work that CESSE does for its members. And talked a little bit about the program, and I mentioned it at the beginning, and I think you mentioned it as well right now, how there's 4 central themes for this year's conference, those being leadership, DEIA, sustainability, and AI and innovative technology. Today, we're talking about DEIA, or diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. And I know you're on one or a couple of those sessions this year, Dana, but if I could just ask you, like, why is the theme of diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility something that is being focused on at this year's ACCESSE?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the society space, it's generally, even outside of CESSE, DEIA has become a key strategy and something that all society leaders need to be thinking about. You know, for myself, I would say ASCE has embedded DEI, JEDI principles as into our overall organizational strategic plan. And from where I sit in publications, I mean, accessibility is what we focus on every single day, making our content accessible to every kind of audience. So, you know, I would have been shocked, I think, if DEIA wasn't a key theme in the CESSE program. So it has such strong associations with all of the other key themes. I would say from leadership, obviously, and kind of guiding your organization with respect to DEIA and the kinds of leadership that are really needed in today's world. But also, you know, AI and responsible use of AI and sustainability. If we think about the Sustainable Development Goals, there are strong DEI ties there. So, you know, it's just a logical fit.
Yeah, I agree. And also want to underscore the point that you just made that I don't think is mentioned enough, is that these themes aren't like siloed or exclusive to one another. Like they overlap, of course. And I think that definitely comes through many, if not all, of the sessions at this year's conference. And wanting to ask you about what are some of those sessions that are in the works right now for this conference, maybe even talking about the ones that you'll be speaking on or putting on?
Sure. So I'm actually organizing a session related to DEI that is specific to publishing. Shocker. And it's titled Unveiling Bias in Publications. Actually, I think the full title is Navigating the Ethical Currents, Unveiling Bias in Publications. And so we'll have some great speakers Matt Ciampella from AGU will be there, and Rachel Purewit. Apologies, Rachel, if you're here and I mispronounced your last name or got it wrong. From Canadian Science Publishing will be participating, and we're going to be talking about things like diversifying the communities involved in authoring and peer reviewing and ensuring that research is reflective of the community, engaging communities in the research enterprise. And then, of course, themes around diversity and inclusion with respect to editorial leadership and ensuring that peer review is fair and balanced. Those sorts of things that are really key issues in publishing at the moment, with respect to even down to research integrity. So I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a great session. We have fantastic speakers. So that's what that one's about, if that's helpful. But there's the other session that I'm involved in actually is an AI session. It's also a publishing session, and how AI might play into the future of publishing. So I think I'll save a summary of that one for the chat about AI. But like I said earlier, I think there are some strong intersections between the ethics around AI and mitigating bias there as well.
Definitely. Something that I think is always helpful for me in any kind of space that I'm entering, whether it be in-person conference or like a virtual, is just at the forefront, like what is our essential question, or what is the question that we're exploring in today's time together. So I know that might seem like a broad statement, but what I kind of want that to transition that into is asking you, like, what are some of the questions that an ACCESSE attendee might expect to explore with their peers as it relates to DEIA, or maybe even the conference in general, but it could be this session or in general with the theme, like, oh, we're going to be exploring why this, or how this, or what this, like, what kinds of questions come up?
Yeah, I think there are a few other sessions, but they all have kind of a consistent theme around inclusion and belonging. And one is about courageous, ethical, and inclusive leadership. One is about cultivating diverse talent in your volunteer groups. So your members who contribute to your organization. And then kind of a similar bent in a couple of sessions about inclusion, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging for staff in organizations. So I think, that question is how can we better appreciate the value that organizations derive from ensuring that in all areas of involvement, whether at leadership, amongst your volunteer base, or within your staff, what benefits do we derive from ensuring those communities are all diverse and offer opportunities for participation, with a welcoming and inclusive air to them. I think societies can be seen as, especially when it comes to younger members, as being a little exclusive, and hard to find a place to get involved. And I think, I hope to learn, a lot of strategies to get younger members and maybe constituencies that haven't been deeply involved and rooted in the community in the past, to feel a greater sense of belonging.
Yeah, I really appreciate that point, and that makes me want to also share out, like, on ACCESSE, like mentioning at the beginning that it's a space for professionals that are in STEM societies, and I think you did it much better than I could, but really saying that this is a space for everyone of all levels, of all walks that are working in STEM societies to convene and share ideas, but specifically how you put it, I think appreciating that value of diverse perspectives or our stories, how they can kind of like just, I think, improve our work or I don't know, bring new ideas, I think is the rambly way that I would share it, but I think you shared it much more eloquently than I could. Yeah. But thank you for that. Wanting to ask you, or first, if anyone is joining us today, again, reminding you if there's any questions that you might have about this conference for Dana or myself, please feel free to drop those in the chat. But Dana, wanting to ask you, and this might be a little bit repetitive, but just wanting to ask you in case there's something extra that comes out of it for out of this question. But is there, could you share like what's one specific tangible way that attending ACCESSE has either benefited your personal leadership or maybe even thinking about the entire leadership of your team or organization? Because I know you mentioned previously that it's kind of been like a group membership for your society. So how has that kind of like benefited tangibly?
So I would say that my experience at societies over the years has often been that we think we need to solve all the problems and figure all the solutions out ourselves. But really engaging in the broader society community, you can learn so much from what other organizations are doing. And there's really actually a strong sense of sharing at ACCESSE. I mean, I've seen it in the publication SIG for sure. We all come around and talk about key issues in our specific portion of the society world and really just learn from each other. How are you handling this weird thing? And what's your organization thinking about when it comes to business models or what have you? And you can just, I just have really benefited from seeing what's happening more broadly and then applying kind of some lessons learned from other societies to our own operations. So you don't have to, kind of reinvent the wheel. We're all going through the same things together. I think, CESSE as an organization and the ACCESSE conference is really intended to give those actionable takeaways so that we can all do our jobs better.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. This is a question that I asked last week, and I think I'm just going to include it in all of the following episodes that I have for this preview of the conference. But you already have mentioned a couple of names that you're collaborating with on a session this year. But the question is, who is like one person, or it could be a few. I'm not going to limit it to just one, but who are some folks that you've met either through ACCESSE or even just in the CESSE community that aren't like in your organization, of course, but whom you've met who's have really helped you like grow as a leader, or grow as a STEM professional?
Oh, that's such a tough question because I haven't actually met that many people outside the program committee and the publication SIG, but I will say that I just only recently met Dana Otilio from SPE through working on the program committee, and she's actually organizing the AI session that I'm speaking at. And it's been so great to get to know her and really get her perspective on technologies. I feel like technology is the area where I like increasingly need to know the most and always feel like I'm behind and know the least. And she's so knowledgeable and just really level-headed and future thinking about where we are in the AI space and where we're heading. So that's been super rewarding. And on the publishing side, it's hard because I actually knew a lot of the people involved in the SIG before I joined. So that's a little bit tough for me to answer, but Scott Delman, who's with the Association of Computing Machinery. He's a really great participant during the Pub SIG, and he's actually a person who I hadn't met before coming to the SIG meetings. And their organization really faces a lot of the same challenges, like in the computer science space, as that we do in the engineering space. So he's been a great resource to get connected with, and I kind of try to pick his brain as much as I can about what they're doing at ACM. I don't know. Those are two that come to mind. That's a really hard question.
No, I mean, I just love hearing like, oh, because for me, the small enjoyment, but always being able to put names to faces and being my first time and, meeting all these folks. And yeah, I think it's just also awesome to shout people out for who've had like an impact like on myself or ourselves. Like, I think it's always important to, bring those names to the space and, oh, I appreciate you.
Yeah. We had a publication SIG call yesterday afternoon, and it was just really fun as everybody started to gather in the virtual room. It felt like you were like walking into a room full of friends. So it was really great.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you mentioned Dana Otilio, and I think maybe getting too far ahead, but I feel like that's a good way to give a small promo for our last episode, which is going to be on June 11th, I believe, where Dana Otilio will be joining us to talk about AI and innovative technology. So I'm also really excited for that conversation and her perspective as well. Couple of, I think, logistical things that I want to put out there as well before we wrap up our time together. Again, so appreciate you, Dana, for taking the time to speak with us today about your experience, the conference, what you're excited about. But one of the things is definitely registration. Of course, we're talking about this conference really, with the goal of wanting as many people in the STEM society landscape to come to Toronto, whether it's your first time or you haven't been in a while or you've been coming for many years. Like, we really welcome you. And logistically, on our registration end, early bird registration is open. I believe it closes on that same day, June 11th, I think, or June 10th. I could be wrong. So there still is some time, but definitely encourage you, if you're thinking about it, definitely check out our website, CESSE.org, to learn more, or just get registered. We know that you'll get a lot of value out of it. With early bird registration, there's also the opportunity to have additional saving if you come with a group of 5 or more members of your organization. So if you're able to get your team together, or however many, at least 5, you'll get an additional 10% off your entire order on your entire registration. So that's a really good benefit as well. And I believe also CESSE members get an additional discount on their registration as well. So, and when you do the math, I did the math as well, but I don't have the numbers. I know that you definitely get a return on investment if you become a member and register as well, because then you're a member for the entire year, and then you can participate in our SIG discussions like Dana mentioned, or our webinars, or get additional discounts off of our conferences. So really, really welcome you to become a member, or encourage you to become a member if you're not already. And with that, is there any questions on here? Greg, my colleague at CESSE, let me know that early bird registration is open through June 11th. Appreciate you, Greg. And then Alicia, who's our education manager at CESSE, is sharing, you can still get involved with an Ignite session. Call for proposals open soon. So be on the lookout for more information about that. Appreciate you, Alicia. And not seeing anything more, but so the last question that I want to ask you, pretty straightforward, Dana, but what's one word about how you're feeling about this year's conference? I think that might be the third iteration of how I'm asking that question. What are you looking forward to? What are you excited about? But I think it's fun to hear whatever that one word is that comes up for you in this moment about how you're feeling about this July.
Energized, I guess. I'll say energized.
Energized. I feel the same. Yeah, last week I said excited, so I'll just hop on the energized train. I don't have
Okay,
many work
fair
for
enough.
today.
I'm glad I didn't say excited.
No, yeah, no, all words are good. But that's really it. Any last concluding words before we close out today's chat, Dana?
No, just thank you so much again for inviting me to do this. I really am truly looking forward to the program this year. I think it's awesome. So I hope that everybody who's listening will register and join us there.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Dana, and thanks so much for anyone and everyone that was able to join us. We'll definitely make sure that the recording is available to anyone that is interested in rewatching it or even sharing it with your colleagues. Definitely encourage that, just to spread the word to anyone that's, again, new to CESSE, new to ACCESSE. Really, just this is definitely the space where we believe that you want to be if you're in this type of work. But yeah, with all that said, appreciate you so much, Dana, and thanks to everyone, and we'll chat next week.
You too. Thanks, Angel.
Bye.
Bye.